The story of India-China relations has always been filled with ups and downs. Recently, China's Foreign Minister Wang visited India, and this visit is being considered important in many ways. During his visit with Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Wang himself admitted that there have been many ups and downs in our relationship, and it is important to remember the lessons learned from them. This visit was significant as it was the first time in a long while that a Chinese minister visited India. If we look back at the past 6 years, the story becomes interesting. In 2019, when Prime Minister Modi and President Xi Jinping met in Mahabalipuram, a special warmth was evident in the photos. However, just a few months later, a violent clash broke out between the armies of both countries in the Galwan Valley, in which 20 Indian soldiers were martyred and China also suffered heavy losses. After that night, India-China relations suddenly became cold. India deployed 50,000 to 60,000 soldiers along the border, and China also poured in equal strength. In the following years, several rounds of talks were held. Slowly, the withdrawal of troops began, and by 2024, both sides agreed to withdraw from the final disputed areas, Depsang and Demchok. After this, the meeting between PM Modi and President Xi Jinping in Kazan marked the beginning of efforts to bring warmth back to the relations. During this time, Indian foreign ministers, defense ministers, national security advisors, and foreign secretaries also visited China. But the background is even more interesting. When Donald Trump was elected president of the US and imposed tariffs on China, Beijing began extending a hand of friendship towards India. The Kailash Mansarovar Yatra was resumed, and Indians began receiving Chinese visas. Wang Yi's current visit is also a part of this process. The important thing is that this time he got the chance to meet Prime Minister Modi, whereas in his 2022 visit that did not happen. Now, the question is, how are India and China progressing? Both countries have decided that they will advance relations on two parallel tracks, separating the border dispute from bilateral relations. This means that one issue will not hinder the other. Several new mechanisms are being created in this direction, such as special groups for border management, new working groups for maintaining peace along the border, and new military communication mechanisms in the eastern and central regions. At the same time, steps are being taken to normalize bilateral relations. For example, resuming direct flights, easing visa processes, opening border trade through Nathula, Lippu Lake and Shipkila, and facilitating investments and trade. China has even acknowledged that in emergency situations, it will share river water related data with India. But can these steps alone bridge the trust gap? This is the biggest question. Chinese incursions along the border, whether it is Depsang in 2013, Chushul in 2014, Doklam in 2017, or the current tensions have severely wounded India's trust. Moreover, China's military cooperation with Pakistan, the construction of a mega dam on the Brahmaputra River, and export restrictions on rare minerals and fertilizers are further increasing India's concerns. India has also made its position on terrorism clear and reminded that a major purpose of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization was to fight terrorism. If China wants stability in its relations with India, it will have to address these concerns. Ultimately, the essence of this entire story is that India-China relations are shadowed by the border dispute, but the future is also filled with possibilities of cooperation. Now it will depend on Beijing whether it takes India's concerns seriously and moves forward on the path of trust or not. Now it's time for this program's Sunday special segment, The World Around Us, where we will discuss other important international news. Uganda has made an agreement with the US under which it will accept exiled migrants, but the condition is that they should have no criminal record and should not be unaccompanied minors. Uganda's Ministry of Foreign Affairs stated that both parties are working on the framework for its implementation. Additionally, Uganda has prioritized that these migrants should have African ancestry. The Minister of International Relations, Henry Okello Orim, raised questions about how Uganda will integrate these individuals into the local society when they are not accepted in their own countries. He clarified that the government is mainly discussing visas, fees, restrictions, and bilateral issues, not accepting illegal migrants from the United States. Ukrainian President Zelensky has appealed to the US to adopt a tough stance if Russia refuses a bilateral meeting with him. He said he is ready for direct peace talks with President Putin, but the question is whether Russia is prepared. Meanwhile, US President Donald Trump, who is mediating the peace agreement, acknowledged that it is possible Putin may not want to make a deal. However, Trump hopes that Putin too is tired of the war. According to the reports, Putin showed interest in a phone meeting, but Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov said that such talks must be gradually prepared at the expert level. The Supreme Court of Pakistan granted bail to former Prime Minister Imran Khan on 21 August 2025 in 8 cases related to the 9th May violence. This decision was made by a 3-member bench headed by Chief Justice Afridi. After hearing the arguments of Imran Khan's lawyer Salman Safdar and the special prosecutor for the state Zulfikar Naqvi, the court granted this relief. However, he will not be released from jail due to his sentence in the Al-Qadir Trust case. After Imran's arrest on 9th May 2023, his supporters had carried out violence and vandalism. The Lahore Anti-Terrorism Court and the High Court had previously rejected his bail plea, which has now been approved by the Supreme Court. We conclude the discussion here and note today's question. What is the rationale behind the dual-track approach of India-China relations? Critically evaluate its significance in the context of changing global economic landscape and the India-China border dispute.
For more informative content, like, share and subscribe, and do not forget to press the bell icon to get the notifications.